You're so creative. You just have this eye for what looks good. You're so talented. Like, I wish I could do stuff like that, you know? If you're a visual artist or a musician or a photographer or just anyone who's in or is pursuing like a creative field, then those phrases probably sound pretty familiar. That's a good thing. Those are compliments, they're endearing, they're very nice, and they were probably said to you by someone who meant it very well and had the best of intentions. But none of that changes the fact that it isn't true. You're not creative, you don't have an artistic eye or whatever, and you're not talented. And that's a good thing. So let me explain. For example, photographers and filmmakers don't just have like a natural eye for good images. They've learned to pay attention to light and color and composition and patterns and all of the other elements that make up a good shot. So I stopped to take a few photos of this spot behind me, and at first glance it kind of just jumped out at me, but the more I think about it, the more I realize that what made this scene stand out to me is all of the different specific elements that I've kind of learned to pay attention to. The repeating pattern created by all of the similar trees that line up in the background, but also the fact that we have one tree very close to the camera that stands out and creates a subject. Also the fact that we have rain on the leaves that gives them a very deep green color, adds some contrast to the shot. The way the mist in the background simplifies the scene and emphasizes the depth. And finally, the way we have foreground through this little bush right in front of the camera and can get those leaves really close and emphasize that depth even more. And those are all elements that I've gradually kind of picked up and learned to pay attention to while I'm out shooting. Like if I had walked past this scene 4 or 5 years ago, I probably would have just kept walking. It's just a bunch of trees. And the funny thing is that as you internalize all of those different components and get better at your craft, it kind of becomes second nature and kind of does just feel like a natural talent or an artistic eye, you could say. Like this scene kind of just jumped out at me and I had to kind of reverse engineer it to figure out why all of those individual elements stuck out. So it can almost seem like something that you just either have or don't. But it's important to remember that anyone who's good at something has gotten there by gradually picking up all of those individual pieces. And that's why the word talent specifically sells people so short. Like a talent is being able to flip your tongue upside down or something. Being able to run an Ironman or play an instrument well, take good photos, is way more than talent. On the surface, that's all this is. Just me complaining about people using the wrong word. You could swap it out for skilled or some synonym of that nature and everything would check out. But that's not quite the entire point. If you think you're talented, cool. If you think someone else is talented, great. But if you think you're not talented, that's when it becomes an issue. When you start saying, I'm not creative, I'm not athletic, or I'm just not good at XYZ. And that's not good, because no one should be deterred or discouraged from doing something because they don't just naturally get it. Because the reality is, no one just naturally gets it. And that doesn't mean you can crush it at like anything under the sun. You still have to be interested in the thing. So let's say I wake up tomorrow and decide that I want to run a marathon. Granted, I have no actual interest or enjoyment in running. I'll probably go out for a run, hate every second of it, not do it for very long, and never really make it to that marathon level at all. But if I were to decide like 6 years ago that I wanted to make films and videos, then I would probably make one, put it out on the internet, and it would get absolutely no views. None at all. But I would still do it again the next week, and the next week after that, and continuously for long enough to get, to this point. Same goes for hiking. A couple years ago, this would have been a pretty tough hike for me, whereas now it's not really an issue because I've gotten not only more physically fit for hiking, but also more knowledgeable and prepared. I know how to execute this properly because I've been doing it continuously. So in the case of both hiking and, film photography, these are both things that I started out royally sucking at and gradually kind of pushed through the failures to get gradually a little better at. And I'm glad I did, because I really enjoyed the hell out of both of these things. And there's nothing better than having something like that, like a craft or an activity that really challenges and fulfills you. So if you feel like you have something like that, but you're kind of on the fence about whether or not you should pursue it because you feel you're not, talented at that thing, remember that you're not supposed to be good at it. You're supposed to get good at it. Being good at the thing is not a prerequisite to doing the thing. Doing the thing is how you get good at the thing. So whatever that thing may be, get out there, do the thing, and remember, you're not creative, you don't have an eye or whatever, and you are definitely not talented. And that's a good thing.